All right, guys, this is Aaron Brightman, Scarlet Faithful Podcast. This is a redo of my Illinois preview. I had it all set, edited. I have a guest, Sonny, from the Illini cast. First question I asked him was, do you expect Terrence Shannon Jr. to be available for Illinois on Sunday? And this is no slight on Sonny. He said what everyone has been saying, which was that no, it's very unlikely that he'll be available. And then, of course, Friday afternoon, I even made a joke in my original recording that news always breaks an hour after I post my podcast. I had this initial podcast all edited, scheduled even for tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, and news broke, a Friday news dump, that a judge issued the restraining order that Terrence Shannon Jr. had issued against Illinois, essentially breaking the suspension that they have on him, saying it's going to harm his career. I don't need to get into why he's suspended other than, he's been charged with sexual assault. I'm not giving my opinion on whether it's right or wrong. I think it's obviously a very difficult situation for everyone involved. But the bottom line is Illinois announced late Friday afternoon, early evening, that Terrence Shannon Jr. is active on the roster, effective immediately, which means he will play Sunday in Champaign in the rematch against Rutgers. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm still going to have Sonny's. I don't know if I'm going to cut the first part or not. This is going to be a little disjointed, but I'm going to obviously include everything else I asked him, speaking to him about how Illinois has been different without Terrence Shannon Jr., and then also what happened in the Maryland loss at home a week ago, and just his thoughts on this rematch. So I'm going to let Sonny jump in now, and then I'm going to pop back in from my car waiting for sushi on a Friday night with my thoughts on what this all means now. All right, welcoming in Sonny from the Illini cast to talk about Illinois basketball ahead of Sunday's showdown in Champaign, a place that Rutgers has never won. Sonny, thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Aaron. You were a guest on my show a couple weeks ago when we previewed the game at the Rack. That went a little bit more in our favor that time, so I'm hoping the same happens this time around.
It's been a house of horrors for Rutgers when they visit Illinois. Big difference in this matchup from last month is that Terrence Shannon Jr. Is not available for Illinois due to legal reasons. Don't have to get too far into that, other than my first question was, what is the chances that he will be able to play on Sunday? He's missed a few games now.
Yeah, very, very unlikely. At this point, they had their first court appearance yesterday, Thursday, and they've set the first court date for February 23rd. Now, that's the federal judge. Terrence Shannon, about a week and a half, maybe 8 days ago from today, filed a temporary restraining order against the University of Illinois, and they had their case, and that's still being reviewed. So a judge, technically, I think her name's Judge Lawless, could technically come in today and say she's withholding or upholding the temporary restraining order, and Shannon can play. Would he? I'm not sure. We've been waiting. I had a lawyer on Illini cast, and he talked about how the judgment could be an hour, it could be a week, it could be 2 weeks. So we're all basically just waiting around and hearing what the local judge decides.
So based on that, for Rutgers fan perspective, from the first time these two teams met in December, obviously Shannon played a huge role in that win, but Illinois has a lot of really good players and has had a very good season and been pretty successful without Shannon as well. How are they different on the court without him?
I mean, Brad Underwood has done a masterful job this year dealing with all the circus and his media attention that the team has gotten. The players found out that Shannon was going to be suspended essentially just minutes before the rest of the world found out on Twitter. I believe they're 4-2 now since Shannon has been gone, and Illinois has the third highest ranked offensive efficiency in those 6 games. Essentially, our lineup is much smaller. We pretty much play 7 guys, and it's really only 6. So our guys are playing 30, 35 minutes a game minimum. But I think we have a lot of veterans on the team, a lot of guys who know it's their last go around. So they're very much committed to, making the right play. having the game be about the name on the front of your jersey instead of the back. Defensively, we're one of the better teams in the country. And just revert back to offense. Brad Underwood fell in love with Penn State beating us handedly 3 times last year. And that Jalen Pickett booty ball, essentially, that's what we've incorporated to our team. It's going to be Marcus Damask. It's going to be Ty Rodgers, basically bringing up the court, backing down whoever's guarding him, and then making the proper play from there, whether it's finding an outlet pass, dribbling out. We're kind of, because we're so short-staffed, we're playing without a point guard, and really we don't have a traditional center. So, we're playing 4 forwards out there almost. But, it's worked so far, and, we're 14, I believe, right now in the AP ranking. And, it was a really impressive 15-point win at Ann Arbor last night. So hopefully that'll go up.
Yeah, absolutely. Illinois now with Big Ten wins over Northwestern, Michigan State, and Michigan since Shannon's been out, in addition to the Rutgers win. Played Purdue really tough in Mackey, lost by 5. Really, I guess that kind of maybe the one outlier is that home loss to Maryland came last weekend. It's interesting just from an outsider perspective. I mean, Maryland didn't shoot well from 3. It really seemed like it was a differential in 2-point conversions in terms of Maryland shooting over 50%. Illinois struggling. Wanted to get your thoughts on what happened in that game.
Illinois has now with Shannon gone, they have a very small margin of error to win their games. And Maryland is one of those teams. Indiana's another one. Michigan State's another one, and that was a pretty close game. When you can match Illinois' size, we tend to have a little bit more issues. Like last night, we out-rebounded Michigan by, I think, 19 or 20 rebounds. That's what we do. We try to grab as many offensive rebounds as we can. I think that was one of the big differences between our previous matchup between Illinois and Rutgers was the amount of the rebounds gap. Teams that can match up size against our guys, because again, we don't have point guards, which is unfortunate for us to not have a playmaker, but it's tough for the opposing team because we have 6'7" Ty Rodgers being matched up against the opposing point guard, and he crashes the boards almost every single time. Maryland was just one of those games where the students were out. The atmosphere was kind of lifeless. I haven't seen that Illinois team before. They just didn't have much energy. They weren't diving for the loose balls that they've been diving for all season long. I'm hoping it's a blip on the radar, but we'll see.
Yeah, in that first matchup, I kind of blacked out how bad Rutgers was on the boards. It's plus 28 for Illinois in that game. Rutgers has been much, much better on the boards since then and in Big Ten play, and a big reason for that is Mawat Mag, who did not play in that first game. So, his matchup ability will certainly be a help for Rutgers. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in this rematch. Any kind of general thoughts in terms of this rematch on Sunday?
I mean, Illinois should handle their business. Right now, the Big Ten is very much cluttered. I think I saw a simulation ran yesterday that had the worst team in the Big Ten still win 7 games in the conference, which would be unheard of when you just kind of talk about the parity. You kind of have Purdue and everyone else. Right now, Illinois is in a stretch where they've got to take care of these, I say respectfully, easier games on their schedule, especially when you're at home. We just lost to Maryland at home. That's one, win that we've essentially given away. Rutgers does have Amorie, who's the type of big that we do struggle with. I mean, Reese on Maryland was dominating that game and got Coleman into foul trouble, and then all of a sudden we really couldn't ultimately recover from that. Now, Coleman did a decent job on him our previous game, but come Sunday, if the energy's not there from the crowd side, and it relays over to the team, and Amoria has a good game, like it can be close. But I'm hoping that Illinois has kind of gotten that bad loss out of the way, and they can take care of business.
And last question: any concern about the short turnaround with the Thursday night road game going into a Sunday, early start?
Absolutely. Especially with our guys, as I mentioned earlier, they all play 33, 34, 35 minutes. So I'm certainly not chalking this game up as a win. I'm very curious to see what the spread comes out as. But Underwood's got to get his guys ready, because I think we play 2 days later. This week I believe we have about 3 games coming up, so it's going to be a grind of a schedule. But every day in the Big Ten's a grind.
All right, Sonny from Illini Cast, really appreciate you being here. I know you have some other projects going on. I want you to promote that, and also tell people where they can find you on social media.
Sure, you can find me personally at the Sonny V. If you're at all interested in Illinois athletics, you can find me at Illini Cast. We tend to release 1 or 2 shows a week, depending on what's going on with Illinois athletics. But I'm also starting a new project. We're about a dozen episodes in, called At Big Ten Show. And that's kind of a central location for every team. It's not just the Ohio States, the Michigans. We talk about all of your teams, and hopefully I'll have Aaron on at some point to talk Rutgers football and basketball. And thanks for having me, Aaron. I really appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Always great to talk to you. And we'll see what happens on Sunday. And thanks again for being here.
Good luck.
All right. Thanks again to Sonny from Illini Cast. Been on his pod now twice, and he's a good source for Illinois athletics, so check him out. But in terms of what Rutgers needs to do in this game, it doesn't necessarily change now with Terrence Shannon back, but it certainly makes it more challenging. He's arguably the best guard in college basketball. He hasn't played in about a month, so there is a rust factor, so to speak. A continuity standpoint, he hasn't been able to practice. So, emotionally, how is this going to impact the game? It's going to be interesting to see, because I'm sure, we don't know anything. There's a lot of dynamics here within the university, within the program, within the community there. This is heavy stuff. And I think it's short-sighted to not think about the potential impact that could have, good or bad. Could be a galvanizing moment for this team. They could be, get an emotional lift from it. It could go the other way. And again, I just want to say, I'm not rooting against Terrence Shannon or anything like that. This is just the reality of what Sunday is now. It's not just a regular game. There is a pretty big dynamic now included in this rematch. From a physical standpoint, I think it'll be fine. But he's a high shot volume guy. Illinois themselves as a team is coming off short rest, played at Michigan Thursday night, short turnaround on a Sunday noon game. It's noon in terms of Central Time in Champaign. It's 1 p.m. Eastern on Big Ten Network for us in the East Coast, depending where you're watching this game. Robbie Hummel's on the call, Brandon Gowden. They're 2 of the best in the game. And in terms of the rematch at the RAC, or the initial game at the RAC in December, Rutgers just got absolutely destroyed on the boards, 55-27. It was either 55-27 or 55-28. Utter domination by Illinois on the glass. So that can't happen in this rematch. Rutgers has done a much better job on the boards. Obviously, Mawot Mag did not play in this first game, so that's a huge factor in this game for Rutgers. He could guard Coleman Hawkins, who was also, it was just his first game back. He was not much of a factor in that game, but he's killed Rutgers before. He's been on a tear lately, so he's going to be a problem in terms of defending Illinois. Damask and Goody are their 3-point shooters. Illinois has a tendency to, they're just a very dynamic offensive team. But they're also extremely efficient defensively as well. They're ranked 14th. They're with Shannon. They were playing like a top 10 Final Four contending team. Maybe it's good luck that Rutgers, if they do have to play Shannon again, that he's back on this first game. Quick turnaround. Like I said, he hasn't been practicing with the team. I'm sure he's been practicing on his own. But Rutgers has to rebound better. They have to defend better. They have to bring intensity. They showed signs of starting to figure things out offensively against Nebraska. In terms of Illinois, they have to share the basketball. They need to be patient. They can't force things. Illinois is going to will you to take that contested 2-point jumper. That's what they want you to do. And Rutgers has to attack downhill. They have to get to the rim. They have to finish at the rim. They have to draw contact. They have to go strong. They have to work ball reversals. They have to do kickouts on drives and dish to shooters on the outside. Illinois doesn't want you to take threes. They're really good at closing out on threes. Rutgers did not shoot badly against Illinois the first time. They were 6-13 from behind the arc, but Rutgers needs more attempts. They shot well against Nebraska. 11 of 29. We'll take it. What you don't want to get is sucked in and take those contested 15-footers. Rutgers has been really bad from two this year, historically bad from two in terms of Big Ten play. So they're shooting, still they went up a little bit. They shot like 44% against Nebraska, I think, from two. So they're like 39% for the season. It's still terrible. You got to make shots in the row. We know that, but they got to stand up with their defense, and they just have to play smart. They have to be connected. They can't, last year they got flustered. They gave up I think it was a 19-0 run as well to Illinois, like they did against Michigan State last weekend on the road. So that can't happen. You can't allow these big runs. You have to stop it. Who is going to step up offensively for Rutgers when the other team's on a 6-0, 8-0 run? You got to stop the bleeding. Cliff, this is a game where Cliff Omori has to be Cliff Omori. The Cliff that we all know and love, and that can be a beast like he was against Nebraska, like he was against Seton Hall. That's who they need in this game. Derek Simpson has to continue to take a step as a distributor and a facilitator the way he did against Nebraska. I really feel like in the half court, Rutgers started to figure some things out in that game. Just that the way they were able to make the extra pass, they showed more patience. They were a little bit more disciplined. Illinois is going to want you to take long twos in this game, and that's been the Achilles heel for Rutgers. They've been really poor. You're still shooting historically low from 2-point range. They've struggled finishing at the rim. Illinois does have some size there, but Rutgers has to work to get quality shots. They can't, get in terms of the pace of play. They can't get sped up by Illinois. Can they get out in transition? They weren't really able to do that against Illinois in the first game. So easy baskets. Can they get offensive rebounds like they did against Nebraska? 25. You can't expect that, right? But can you get 15 to 20? Can you capitalize for second chance points? Can you get 5+ baskets, second chance points off of offensive rebounds? Can they win that battle? They need easy baskets. Can they convert near the rim in transition? Can they get kick out threes? Simpson was starting to find guys on the outside open. He found Andre Hyatt in the corner at one point. I thought Simpson's awareness too, just his ball movement, the way there was a big three hit late in the game. I can't remember exactly when, but I think it was Austin Williams got hung up, and he didn't even do a full cut. He just kind of adjusted his positioning around the arc and got a three and nailed it in rhythm. So, and he had the mindset to take the three. So this team had a much better approach and conviction in what they were doing on offense against Nebraska. Can they continue that? Can the defense travel? This is a toughness game. They're going to be big underdogs. They were not tough against Illinois in that first game, not whatsoever. So can they bring it? Mag is going to be, I think, you call an X factor in this game because he didn't play in that first one. And I think that would be big. I wouldn't expect the Bull or Jeremiah Williams to play until they start playing. I know Peichel is hoping that they're saying that they're close. The NCAA ruling on Williams hasn't come down. I guess it could come any minute. Probably will come an hour after I record this podcast because that's what usually happens. But obviously, if he's available, that would be huge. I wouldn't expect it. Bull would just provide depth inside and give them extra fouls to give and an extra rebounder and rim defender. That would be big as well. But again, I wouldn't count on it until they play their first game. It's hard to know when that's going to happen. But you need the bench to show up in this game. Wolf, I thought, did some really good things against Nebraska. He played tough. He was giving good defense. He's their best screener on offense. He was, winning plus making plus plays just in terms of loose balls, and being very smart on both ends of the floor. He played good defense. So they're going to need him off the bench. What can the trio of Davis, Fernandez, and Griffiths give them on the offensive end? Can Griffiths and Fernandez hit a pair of threes each? Illinois is going to try to take away threes as much as possible. That's why ball movement is going to be so important in this game. Being able to get downhill and kicking out. I really think that's something that Rutgers has to look for more. And I think Simpson, like I said, the green light or the eyes are starting to open a little bit. Austin Williams is really good at getting downhill. He tends to kind of put his shoulder down and get to the rim. He's very good at drawing contact. But, he's a guy that could find an open shooter. Hyatt, Griffiths, Fernandez, they got to lead the way from three-point line. Mag's been shooting more threes lately, to mixed reviews, but I like that he is stretching the floor a little bit. So, finding Cliff in open space, can you get that high ball screen? Can you really look for him off the roll more and more? I think this team has something off of the Nebraska win that they can build on. One thing, by the way, listen, three-pointers and the two-point, right? If you want to be angry about something, be angry about Rutgers being so inefficient from two-point range. Terribly. I mean, their guards are really shooting poorly from two-point range. There's so much more value in making the two-point basket. Yes, they're free throws, whatever. But, the rest of the team went 14 to 17 from the line against Nebraska. Two players really struggled. And Austin Williams has to be better. He's about a 60% career shooter. He's got to shoot 60, 65% from free throw line. And then Cliff struggled, 2 of 7. He has been pretty decent this year. He's been over 60%. If both of those guys could just shoot 60%, you're going to be fine. You're not going to make every free throw. The team's not going to shoot 75% from the line. But if they could shoot 42% from two and not 38%, that'd be huge. That's much more important, in my opinion, than shooting from 65 to 70% from the free throw line. Do the math. If this team can make 7+ threes a game, that's huge. That's what they need to do. I'm much more worried about that than I am free throws, especially with the fact that you consider Noah Fernandez, Derek Simpson, and Andre Hyatt are pretty good closers from the line. They were 11 to 13 in that game against Nebraska. You have that as a weapon. Simpson was a great distributor in that win over Nebraska. He's got to continue to grow in that role. They need him as a facilitator. When JaMychal Davis is in the game, he's got to go back to that. He had a tremendous assist-turnover ratio for a while. That was a big reason they beat Seton Hall, was the way he played. So the guards have to distribute. They have to create action to find openings and open space for their teammates to get good shots. They have to work the half court. They can't settle and let Illinois' size impact their decision making. They have to get out in transition some. It's going to be hard to do that. Illinois doesn't force a ton of turnovers. They don't turn it over a ton either. So it's a very challenging game. Rutgers is going to be double-digit dogs for sure. They already were projected, KenPom-wise at 13-point underdogs. So, they're not expected to win this game. But you want to see some spirit from this team, and you want to see them in a dogfight, and they've never won in Illinois before. Everyone's counting them out. I've talked about the schedule opening up soon, but this is a game you don't want to just go out and lose by 20. You need to build some kind of momentum here, some kind of continuity with what you're establishing on offense. Austin Williams is playing a bigger role now than he did in the first Illinois meeting. So the Rutgers is a different team than they were when they played Illinois the first time. Illinois is a different team. Coleman Hawkins playing a bigger role. Shannon's back for the first time in a month. So, there was I thought the chance of Illinois being a little flat after playing Thursday night and then coming in, early start on Sunday. But, now that Shannon's back, probably get a lift from that. So it's going to be interesting. It's obviously a huge opportunity for Rutgers. It's a high A quad 1 win. That would be a huge resume booster if they could get it. Again, Rutgers, no bad losses this season, but just one quad 1 win. Nebraska was a quad 2 win. But, this is an opportunity. And Rutgers has shot really poorly from 2. This is a game, layup-wise, they need easy baskets. Offensive rebounds, second chance points. Hit your layups. Get in transition. In the half court, can they get downhill and find open shooters? Can they finish in the lane? Can they get to the foul line and finish? I know everyone's upset about the free throw shooting, but you have 3 players that can connect. They're probably going to try to foul Cliff Wolf. Austin Williams is not, the best free throw shooter, but he's a 65% free throw shooter. That was a bad night for him. But can Derek get fouled? Can he get to the line? Can Noah, when he's in, can he provide a spark? Can he create contact? Can Andre Hyatt, he's obviously going to shoot threes, but, can he get to the rim and draw contact? He's getting better and better at that. So Austin Williams can draw contact, get him to the line. I really hope they don't settle for that, no man's land, 10 to 20 foot spot up contested jumper, because that's exactly what Illinois wants you to do. In terms of defense, they have to close out on the shooters. They can't let the mask run free and get open looks. You have to contain Shannon in some way. Is Austin Williams going to cover him more? Do you throw him at Mag? Covered him a little bit, I believe. Mag didn't play in the first game. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I was coming home on a weekend and this is the third time, by the way. When Rutgers played Wake Forest, Efton Reed was cleared about an hour ruled eligible about an hour after I posted the podcast. And then when Mag came back to Seton Hall, the news was announced about an hour after I put the preview out. So it's the third time. Maybe it's the charm. I mean, the second one was Mag coming back was good news, and they beat Seton Hall. But listen, they're facing a tall task, and they've never beaten Illinois in Illinois. It's got to break sometime. This team's just got to have it's all about mentality, and maybe they have some more confidence now after beating Nebraska. They just got to go out there and let it all on the table, just play smart, play together, play hard, and see what happens. And good things can happen from that. So I know it's a little bit of a ramble, but I just want to see this team play together, not try to, on offense, do it all on their own. Again, I don't think it's a selfish team, but they lack patience sometimes, and they try to force things. And that's what the defense wants you to do. And I think that they're starting to mature a little bit. I think they're starting to get a little more chemistry on the court. And I hope we see that on Sunday. Thanks for listening and watching once again here at the Scarlet Faithful Podcast. And thanks for Sonny from Illini Cast as well. And I hope you have a great weekend. I'll get this out at some point. The editing, I can't promise any miracles, but I'm hoping to get this out Friday night, early Saturday morning. And hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you soon. And I'll have my rapid reaction after the game on Sunday.